Good morning, children. Hope everyone has written your question and answers. You write in your science classwork itself. First semester's what you have now, in that only you can continue it. Good morning, children. Hope everyone has done your homework. You have written the question answers, isn't it? You can write in your first semester science notes itself. You have to write the heading of the lesson, the living organisms, characteristics and habitats, and write the question and answer. So in between I'll be asking you all the questions and the answers what you have written it. So you must be able to tell. So take your textbook, pencil, eraser as well as your notes and sit. So any answer which you are not able to write, you can see and write it. Okay. And one of the girl, after telling so much, I have told you all that science you have only one book for both the semesters. That is for first sem as well as for the second semester. In the first semester, 8 lessons have been completed, and in the second semester, from 9th lesson till 16th, you have for the second semester. So there is no extra book or 2 books for general science as you have for the maths and social. Is it clear to you all? You have the same textbook. First semester, what you were using the textbook, no? The same textbook is there for the second semester also. So 8 lessons have been completed. Now this is the 9th chapter in your textbook. You can open your textbook and see it. Did you hear? Whoever has asked me, so I am telling you all. So the same textbook is there. There is no different textbook for science. So altogether there are 16 lessons in the first and second, including first and second semester. Okay, so now let us continue with the lesson. Everyone is ready? Okay. So in the last lesson what we had studied? We had studied about the organisms. So what are organisms? Organisms are nothing but they are the living creatures. So organisms, what are organisms we had studied? What are they? They are the living creatures. So living organisms are found everywhere on the earth. Can you see here in the picture? It is in the snow, in the sky, in the water, on the trees, in the desert, on the land. All these things you can find everywhere you can find the living organisms. Now we have said about habitat. So what is a habitat? The natural living place of an organism is its habitat. And an organism depends on its habitat for food, water, air and shelter. There are several kinds of organisms are found in a habitat. So then we had said about adaptation. So I had given you the question, what is a habitat? So a habitat is a home or a living place for the organisms. Now the next definition also I had given you, what is adaptation? So if you have not written, you can see here and write it. So what is adaptation? The presence of special features in or certain habits which enable a plant or animal to live in its surroundings is called as adaptation. So you can write this definition. After the video is over, you can listen once again and write it. Then we had studied about the organisms and the surroundings where they live. Then in that we had read about the animals which live in the forest, on the mountains, in the desert, in the sea. Then next we had studied in the habitat. The first habitat we had studied was terrestrial habitat. So if the habitat is land, it is called as the terrestrial habitat. For example, desert, forest, grassland, mountains, etc. Then in the desert we had studied about, this is a desert where we can see the camel. So we had studied about the camel. Then next we had studied about the not only the animals, the plants which live in the desert. That is the cactus, date palm, agave. So these are the plants which live in the desert. Then how the desert plants are adapted for the desert life. So these desert plants, just now what we read about the date palm, cactus and all. So here the leaves are absent or they are reduced, or they are modified into spines to reduce the water loss by the transpiration. And already you have studied what is transpiration in your first semester class in the lesson 8th or something, I think 5th or 8th lesson. So what is transpiration? Can anyone tell me now? Yeah, transpiration is nothing but water comes out of the leaves in the form of vapor by the process called as transpiration. So what the plants will do here, they will release a lot of water into the air through the process of transpiration. Then adaptation of desert plants, that is how they are adapted to the desert life. That is, stem is green and does photosynthesis. Means photosynthesis takes place here. Means what is photosynthesis? Plants, as you know, plants prepare their own food. They are not depending on others. So green plants, only the plants which are green in color, they are able to prepare the food. So now what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process by which the green plants prepare their food using carbon dioxide, water and sunlight. Then the next point is stem stores water, so it is thick and fleshy. So here the water is stored in the stem, so it is thick and fleshy. Then deep root system to collect maximum water from the deep soil. So the roots are deep inside the water. So the maximum water is in the deep into the soil. Then they have a thick wax layer on the stems. Can you see, this is a wax layer on the stem. So this will prevent the loss of water. So these are the 5 points that desert, how the plants are adapted to the desert life. Then we had adaptation in the desert, how the animals are adapted in the desert. So already we have studied, camel has long legs to keep the body away from the hot sand. You can see it. It has a long legs. Can you see here? Yeah. It has long legs and its body is far away. So it will keep the body away from the hot sand. Then next is, it stores the food as a fat in its hump. So here this is a hump where it will store the fat in its hump, or the food as a fat in its hump. It can store water in its body. So it can live without water for many days because it is already storing the water in its body. Then hoofs of a camel well suited for walking on the sand. So these are called as the hoofs. So these hoofs, what it does, it will help the camel for walking on the sand. Otherwise, if the normal other animals walk, what happens? The legs will go inside the sand and stuck. It takes long time again to remove. So now these hoofs are there which will help the camel for walking on the sand. And the next point is, it has long eyelashes. So here it has long eyelashes to prevent the sand from falling into the eyes. So this will prevent from falling into the eyes. What will prevent? Long eyelashes. This will prevent the camel from sand falling into the eyes. Then some of the animals will remain in the burrows. Burrows means holes. Here you can see rat is there, snake is there. So these will be living in the holes. So what happens? This will remain in the holes during the daytime because it's too hot. So they don't come out of their burrows. But they'll come out only during the night. Why? It will be cool also, it will be dark. So they come out during the night. During the day they stay in the burrows. So here you can see the desert animals in the burrows. Here so many other animals also are there which will live in the burrows during the daytime and they come out only in the night. This was about the terrestrial habitat. In that we had studied about the desert. Now we are going to study about the mountain regions. So which animals are found here and which of the plants are adapted to the mountain regions. So now in the mountain regions, we can see that first of all in the mountain regions, here the climate is cold and it is windy, and also in some of the areas snowfall may take place in the winters. So here also there are large variety of plants and animals living in the mountain regions. But what you have to do here is, if you live in a mountain region, if you have visited, you might have seen the trees like this. In the mountain region, this type of trees are found. So can you see these are cone shaped, like ice cream cone. Why are they cone shaped? Because if the snow falls on it or the water, it will slide and go down. So it will be cone shaped. So mountain trees grow in a conical pattern with the sloping branches. So why they'll have sloping branches? Because the snow will slide and it will fall down. And next is they have needle shaped leaves. Can you see this? These are like needle shaped leaves which will help the water and the snow to slide down. So if it rains also, or if there is a snowfall also, this will slip and fall from the leaves like this. These leaves, the water will not stay there, it will slip and fall off. The snow as well as the water will slide down. Then now, which are the animals found in the mountain regions? So first of all, we can find the animal which we are going to study here is snow leopard. So here the color of the snow leopard is, it is white in color and can hide in the trees, or the, it is given environment, it can hide in the trees. Then next is, it has thick fur. Fur means the skin. This is the fur. This will protect it from cold. Like so how a snow leopard has a claws to prevent slipping on the surface of the snow. So here you can see the claws to prevent slipping on the surface of the, here these are the claws, so it is able to walk on the snow, it will not slip and fall. Then the next animal is the mountain goat. So this animal also has a thick white fur. Can you see? Like this white fur. This will protect it from the cold, so it can survive on the mountain regions. Then this also has strong hoofs for running up the rocky slopes. Then the next animal which we are in the mountain region we find is yak. So this also has long thick fur of yak to protect from the severe cold in the winter. So this has also got the black fur which will protect from the cold in the winter season. Now next terrestrial habitat what we are going to study is the grassland. Okay, now we have studied about the desert and the mountain regions. Now let us study about the grasslands. So here in the grassland also we are going to study about the lion. So already you know a lion, where it lives in the forest or on the grassland, and this animal is very strong and it can hunt and kill the animals and eat like deer and all. So it is light brown in color and helps to hide in the grassland. So what is the color of the lion? This light brown. So where it will hide? In the grassland. Long claws which can be withdrawn inside. So here it has claws which can be withdrawn inside. Both the eyes in front of the head, here you can see the eyes, gives correct idea about the location of the prey. Means what? It can make out which animal is coming near to it. It gets an idea by seeing in front. So both the eyes in front of the head gives the correct idea about the location of the prey, which direction the animals are moving. Then next, so now the next grassland animal which we are going to study is deer. So deer can run faster to escape from the predators. So already you know it runs very fast. This animal is famous for running fast, and it has strong teeth which can achieve the hard stem. It is a strong teeth and chewing hard stem. Long ears to hear the movement of the predators, means it will hear whether the enemy is coming near to it. Eyes at the side of the head allows to look in all the directions for danger. So it has eyes through which it can look in all the directions for danger. So now we have studied about the lion. The next animal what we have studied is the deer. Now we read about the predator and the prey. Now what is the meaning of predator and prey? Predator eats the prey. So the hunter is the predator. So who is the hunter? He is called as the predator. And the one who is hunted by the predator is the prey. You can see in the picture. Here the lion is hunting the deer. So the predator is hunter and the prey is the deer. Now you understood the meaning of predator and prey. Now next, coming to the next habitat, till now we have studied about the terrestrial habitat. In that we have studied about desert, grassland and the mountain regions. Now in the aquatic habitats we are going to study about the ocean. So we have already discussed in the ocean about the fish, how it is adapted to live in the sea. So many other animals also have streamlined bodies to help them to move in the water. There are some animals like squids and octopus. So you can see here. So already we have studied how fish is adapted to the water. Means it has streamlined body which helps to move in the water. Then it has gills which helps in the respiration. Then it has fins which will help to move in the water. So now here there is another animal which lives in the water, that is the squid and the octopus. You can see it in the picture. These are the animals which live in the water. So these will not have the streamlined body. Can you see in the picture? They don't have the streamlined body or streamlined shape. They stay deep in the ocean near the sea bed at the end. Bed means at the end, and catch the prey whichever comes near to them. Then when they move in the water, they make their body shape streamlined. So again when they are going into the water now, they'll become like a streamlined, like a fish, and again they move in the water. So these animals have gills to help them to use the oxygen which is dissolved in the water. So there are some sea animals like dolphins and whales that do not have gills. So you might have seen the dolphins and the whales. What they don't have? They don't have the gills. So how do they breathe? So here you can see this blowholes. So these dolphins and whales have nostrils to breathe air from the atmosphere called as the blowholes. Can you see? Yeah. You might have seen in the TV and all also how the whale and the fishes come out and then they breathe, take in the oxygen or the air, and again they move inside the water. So these are the blowholes. They breathe in air through the nostrils or the blowholes that are located on the upper parts of their heads. So this is the upper part of their head. This allows them to breathe in air when they swim near the surface of the water, and they can stay in the water for a long time without breathing. They can stay. So whenever they feel like breathing, again they come out. They come out to the surface from time to time. So there is a time for them when they have to breathe the air. So they come out, again they move inside the water, deep into the water. So you might have seen this type in the television, or you can see the films on the ocean life. If you have not seen, you can see in that. Now the next aquatic habitat, what we are going to study is ponds and lakes. Now already you know ponds, where you find these are the sources of water, isn't it, in the ponds, lakes and all, everything. But have you seen the plants growing in the ponds anywhere? Yeah, wherever water is there, you can see the plants growing there. Everywhere greenery, greenery, you can see small plants there, isn't it, near the ponds, lakes and the rivers. Now, what kind of plants do we see near the water we are going to study? So, we have to see what type of leaves are there, what type of stems are there and the roots of these plants. So, let us study now. Now, these are the water plants. Some have roots fixed in the soil, that is the lotus and Vallisneria. So, these are the plants which are found near the ponds as well as near the lakes. So, some of these plants have their roots fixed in the soil. The water So, some of these plants have their roots fixed in the soil below the water. Below there is a water, they are fixed in that soil. So, in terrestrial plants, roots will play normally a very important role. Why? Because they help in the absorption of the nutrients and water from the soil. So, roots, usually what we have studied, roots fix the plant firmly to the soil. Here also the same thing, but they will help in the absorption of nutrients and they absorb the water from the soil. So, in aquatic plants, roots are much reduced in size and their main function is to hold the plant in the place. So, what is the main function in the aquatic plants? What is the main function of the roots? It is much reduced, it is small in size and their main function is to hold the plant in the place. Okay. Then the stem of these plants are long, hollow and light. So what type of stem these plants will have? Those which are living in the water, their stems are long, hollow and light. The stem will grow up to the surface of the water while the leaves and flowers will float on the surface of the water. So here there are some leaves which are floating on the water. So here Salvinia, Pistia and water hyacinth. Can you see? So this, what type of stem they will have? Their leaves and flowers will float on the surface of the water. Then in some aquatic plants they are completely inside the water or they are submerged in the water. All the parts of such plants are in the water itself. So what happens? Some of these plants are narrow and some are like ribbon shaped, like this you can see. These are ribbon shaped leaves. So these will bend in the flowing water, and in some submerged plants, leaves are often highly divided through which the water can easily flow without damaging them. Isn't it like this? So here these are the leaves which will bend in the water for preventing the uproot. So these are ribbon shaped leaves. Now we have studied about the plants. Now let us study about the animal which can live in the ponds and lakes and on the land. No, here there is a stem of lotus. There are few examples which are given here. You might have seen lotus also grows near the ponds and the lakes. So here how is the stem of the lotus is hollow, long, and it is light here. Then leaves are disc shaped. It is like disc shaped. The next, leaves and flowers also will float on water. You might have seen long leaves will be there for the lotus plant. So it will be floating on the water. Leaves have waxy coating to prevent water stagnation. Means the water won't stand on the leaves. The water will be moving. So this is about the lotus. Now here leaf stalk is filled with the air to help them floating. So I told you some are submerged inside, means inside the water. So this is a hydrilla plant which is completely in the water. So now let us study about the animal which lives in the ponds as well as on the land. So now you might have seen the frogs, isn't it? Not only in the water, but you can see them on the land also. So frogs will usually live in the ponds. Frogs can stay both in the water as well as they can move on the land. They have strong back legs. What they have? They have strong back legs, which will help them in leaping and catching their prey. So these legs, what they'll do, they'll help them in leaping and catching their prey. They have webbed feet, which will help them to swim in the water. So here you can see the frog. It can live both in water and on land, and can breathe in water as well as in the land. On the land they can breathe through the air, and in the water whatever dissolved oxygen and all inside the water only, they get everything. Then this is called as the webbed feet, to swim in the water. Then they have strong back leg for taking the long leaps. You might have seen how the frog will be leaping. Then it will have a sticky tongue here, sticky tongue to catch the insects. See how it's opening the tongue and catching the insects. So now we have discussed here a few common animals and plants that live in the different habitats. So what you have noticed here, you have noticed a wide variety of plants around you, isn't it? When you have prepared a herbarium, you have studied about herbarium in your last semester's classes. What is herbarium? Where varieties of plants will be kept there. Dried plants will be kept there. To know what kind of plant it is or name of that plant will be there. So now you can see the herbarium of leaves of the plants from all the regions of the earth. So today what all we have studied? We have studied about the terrestrial habitat. In that terrestrial habitat we have studied about the desert, in that which animal will live, that is the camel, and the plants which live there. Which plants will live there? Cactus we have seen, isn't it? Then we have seen the palm tree. Then we have studied about the mountain regions, which animals are living in the mountain regions, and the plants. So which animal, can you name which animals are living in the mountain regions? We have studied about the snow leopard, yak, and the mountain goat. Then we have studied about the grassland. Here also we have studied about the lion and also the deer. Then we have studied what is a prey and a predator. Then we have studied about the aquatic habitat. In that we have studied about the oceans. Then in the ocean, how the sea is adapted to the ocean life. Then we have studied about the in ponds and lakes. So which type of plants are able to survive or live near the ponds and lakes, how they are adapted. Then we have studied about the frog, which will live both in water and on land. So just recall what we have learned once, then I'll end the class. Okay. So now today we लो बैटरी बता क्या करना. So today we are studying about the organisms. What are organisms? Nothing but the living creature. Living organisms are found everywhere on the earth. Then we had studied about what is a habitat. Habitat is nothing but a place where the organisms will live, where they get the things what they need for their survival. For example, food, water and shelter. Then we studied adaptation, that is the presence of special features in or certain habitats which enable a plant or an animal to live in its surrounding is called as adaptation. Then we studied about the terrestrial habitat, then desert plants, how the desert plants are adapted for the desert, then adaptation of desert plants, then adaptation in desert animals, then desert animals in burrows, then mountain regions, then animals in the mountain regions, that is about the snow leopard. Then we have studied about the mountain goat, yak. Then in the grassland we have studied about the lion. Then we have studied about the deer. Then we have studied about what is a predator and prey. Then aquatic habitat, we have studied about ocean, how the aquatic animals are adapted to live in the water, about the fish. Then how the dolphins and the whales, they have nostrils to breathe in air from the atmosphere. They are called as the blowholes. Then ponds and lakes, then water plants, then some plants which are floating in the water. Then we have studied about the frog. Okay. Now questions will be given to you all. What lesson is taught today? So you have to see the video and write the question and answer and show for your elders. Get it corrected. Then you can write it in your notes. And whichever answers you don't get it, you can see the video once again and write it. Okay. Now yesterday I had given you all one activity to do it, isn't it? Hope everyone is doing that. It takes 2 to 3 days for you to write the observation. So today there is another activity what you have to do it, and you have to write your observation and keep ready, and I'll send you separate message when the activity has to be done and write your observation. Okay, now yesterday's one activity, now this is a second activity what you have to do it. So in this activity what you have to do is, first you have to bring a potted cactus and a leafy plant to the classroom. So if you don't get cactus plant also, you can bring any leafy plant to your home. Instead of bringing to the classroom, you can get it to your home. Then what you have to do, you have to tie the polythene bags to some parts of the two plants. So any part, either for the leaves or either for the flower, anywhere you can tie the polythene bag, as you have already done in the first semester in your chapter 7. Then where we studied about the transpiration in plants. Just now I told you what is transpiration, where exchange of gases will takes place, where the water droplets you can see on the leaves, that is called as the transpiration. Leave the potted plants in the sun and observe for few hours. For this you don't need many days. Today I have taken the lesson, so tomorrow you can do and write your observation. What do you see? Do you notice any difference in the amount of water collected on the two polythene bags? So you have to write your observation. What is your observation you have to write? You have to write what is the difference in the amount of water collected in the 2 polythene bags. So in the next class, I will be discussing about this activity, what is your observation and what you have to get it. Both the activities in the next class or before this chapter is over, we shall discuss. But please, the first activity you need 2 to 3 days. So please do it, children. Okay, and after that, now after the video, please read the lesson, pronounce the hard words, learn to pronounce the hard words, because in science you will have many words and you have to spell it, then you have to write it. Okay, thank you.